and welcome to your IR4 podcast coin market update. This is the one that we do every single Tuesday. Had a really just exceptional podcast last week with my boy Greg Gilbert. Such a good one to listen to and watch and check out. Just absolutely love it. Anyway, let's hop over to some coinages. And the surprising news is Bitcoin is actually still holding up relatively well, just all things considered. As last time, it didn't quite get to the 200 before we failed. This was a recent movement, a decent little drop. Here's your weekly, and obviously it's still pretty early in the week, being only Tuesday, but you have a pretty infinitesimally tiny candle. I still think the question on Bitcoin is just simply if, when more than if. Right, when does it break this support? Probably break the 100 simple in a weekly and trade a little bit lower. How low at that point, I really don't know, but somewhere around 3,000 seems pretty doable. And then from there, again, it's just going to be an accumulation phase, right? You have that giant run up, and then you get big retracements and pullbacks that last for a year and a half. The accumulation phase will just take its sweet time for sure, but a long-term scale, we'll just have to see what ends up transpiring and how long the support ends up holding. But as we talked about last week and some of the preceding weeks, I just did not think that the bounce was going to hold, and it certainly did not hold on Ethereum. ETH, right, as we trade sideways, this was one of the weaker ones, and this thing is just getting absolutely wrecked. You had a pennant pattern, right, breaking the 100 support. So I mean, at this point, folks, I mean, on a lot of these positions, it's just on full-on free-fall mode. And the question just simply becomes where and if does it stop? Does Ethereum get back down into the double digits? I mean, certainly possible, but remember, if you have the application and the ability, you can short these coins as well on the downside. Here's your overall trend. Trend is looking good. Here's the weekly chart. Again, you got that pennant pattern, so you had an inside candle, then you had an inside candle, and again, that's just a really good breakdown. So right now, the trend, I mean, is majestically bearish for sure. We broke out of this major down support, and yeah, we're just back into this primary downtrend level right about here. And I mean, we do have some support at 142, 143 in some of that area with this particular support. But as far as weekly moving averages, anything like that is concerned, we're below all of them. So the question just simply is, of course, if and when does it start to accumulate and slow down? Same thing on Litecoin. Right, it did have a pretty decent pop last 2 or 3 days. I said last 2 or 3 days. That lasted 2 or 3 days. Good pop. You had this little pennant pattern right into the 50, right, which is just that strong trend. And we can see exactly what happened last time hit the 50 right there. Just got pretty much catapulted. So into the 50 EMA we go on Litecoin. Downtrend continues. Here is the weekly chart with those moving averages. And, I mean, it's just, again, full-on bear mode, bear trend. The pops aren't holding. The shorts have applications to short, but in this particular environment, it's all about time frame. It's all about position sizing. If you're going long, as I mentioned, kind of back here in the late part of August, if you're going long, you can go long. Just do it quickly on the hourly charts. And if you have the ability to go short, depending on what exchange you're using, and if you have margin capabilities or not, then go short, right? If you have that opportunity and that ability, make some money on the downside. But if we're looking at the weekly chart again on Litecoin, again at 51.82, as it trades down into this 46.66 levels and these supports over here, gets down into these supports. I mean, we'll just have to see when it starts accumulating. I do think it's going to be more like the 2019, 2020 type of time frame. But it is good to see Big Daddy Bitcoin hold its head high above water. Then you have Bitcoin Cash. So here's BCH USD at 444. Lowest of the lows. This is on the USD coin pairing on Coinbase, and it's just getting shredded. So Bitcoin Cash, BCH USD, just slowly trickling down. Here's EOS US dollar. This is also in cracking, and again, for the most part, holding up relatively well. At a good support around 480. Still hasn't gone lower than it did back here in March. So again, that's a relatively good sign. So if you're looking for coins, you're looking for the ones that are holding up. Again, Stellar Lumens, also still holding into that little support area. Most likely could trade down to the 50. But if you're looking for any kind of a long-term coins or any coins that you're looking at investing in longer term or even taking shorter term bullish plays. You're looking for the survivors in this particular space right now. XMR USD, sorry. So this is Monero on Kraken. This one, holding up okay, for sure. I mean, it's not doing anything tragically amazing, but here's your weekly, right? Just trade into that downward trend, and looks like it's going to continue lower, but it did at least pause at that support, and it right now isn't making lower lows. So here's Dash, DASH USD, and Dash on the daily. Had some volume coming in. That looks pretty okay, but we'll just end up seeing what Dash does. And then last but not least, right here's Ripple, XRP USD, and this one definitely going lower, right? Had that pennant pattern. As I mentioned the last few weeks, this is best case scenario here in pink. And so it looks like we're going to be just slowly trade back down to this 15-cent range. I still think we're going to have some accumulation processes to go into, right? We're going to have some waves. We're going to have some bounces. But before that happens, I think we do get some lower lows, and we'll just have to see and find out which coins will survive the hyperbolic extension of price action that took place, in 2017. Obviously, 2018, a pretty tough year right now for some of these positions and coins. But as we trade into some supports, we'll see which projects get the best backings, which companies partner with the best blockchain solutions, and how we can perceive these markets going forward. But anyway, I'll do my absolute best to make reviews as long as you all feel it's pertinent and valuable and enriching. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you had a fantastic Tuesday, and I will see you all next week. For those who subscribe to our YouTube channel and or follow us here on Patreon, you'll get your newest interview on Thursday. All right, folks, you're awesome. We'll see you then. Bye.